In these uncertain economic times, you've got to do whatever you can to save money. One of our biggest expenses can be our cars, especially when unexpected repair bills hit. Not anymore. If you own a vehicle with less than 130,000 miles, is less than 12 years old, has a warranty about to expire, or even no warranty at all, you could stop paying for car repairs. Roadside assistance, towing, and rental coverage are all included. Don't wait for the next repair. Make one free call right now to see if you qualify. If your vehicle is less than 12 years old, has less than 130,000 miles, even if it's out of warranty, paying for car repairs can become a thing of the past. Call us right now and get your car protected before your next repair bill hits. Get protection and no more repair bills. Call 800-696-1030. Again, 800-696-1030. That's 800-696-1030. 800-696-1030.
You are listening to KLRN Radio, where liberty and reason still reign.
All writers are prone to becoming so attached to our characters and stories that we struggle to see why a passage may not be working. It takes another set of eyes to help us nurture our writing to full maturity. At Black Wolf Editorial Services, we strive to enable writers to develop and grow, shaping stories into masterpieces that can stand the test of time. Editing services are provided for all genres and all age categories. Services range from critiques of the short story through to the line edits of the full-length novel and copy editing for those preparing for publication. We also offer assistance on generating a writer's bio for your website, as well as help with those book blurbs and promotional material. We won't abandon you to the masses. We want to celebrate with you in your successes. Black Wolf Editorial Services, nurturing your writing into maturity. For a full list of services and prices, visit us at blackwolfeditorial.com.
Individuals and businesses with tax problems, listen carefully. Do you feel like you're losing control over your finances? If you owe over $10,000 in back taxes or have unfiled tax returns, we can help you take back control. The IRS is the largest and most aggressive collection agency in the world, and they can seize your bank account, garnish your paycheck, close your business, and file criminal charges. Take control of your tax problems now by calling the experts at Tax Mediation Services and take advantage of the Fresh Start program and new laws that may allow us to negotiate a settlement for the lowest amount possible. Our team of tax attorneys and enrolled agents can stop collections and get you protected so you can take control of your financial future. Tax Mediation Services is accredited by the Better Business Bureau. Call now for a free case review and a price protection guaranteed quote.
Call Tax Mediation Services now at 800-610-9050. That's 800-610-9050. 800-610-9050.
KLRN Radio has advertising rates available. We have rates to fit almost any budget. Contact us at advertising@klrnradio.com.
This is Slickery Trigger for Rebel Road Tactical. With proper care and feeding, your pistol will be ready when you need it. There to save your life. Shouldn't your gear be that good? Whether you need a holster for comfortable everyday carry or a tough-as-nails holster for your next training course, Rebel Road Tactical has what you need. Check us out on the web at rebelroadtactical.com.
Tired of paying outrageous prices for Viagra? Well, we have great news for you. Now you can finally get Viagra at huge discounts. Healthy Man allows you to save up to $500 on Viagra. Why pay U.S. pharmacy prices of $15 per pill or more when you can get Viagra for less than $3 a pill? Call today and get 40 Viagra pills for only $99. This can cost as much as $600 at your local pharmacy. You can't afford not to call us. If you want Viagra at the lowest prices, never pay $15 $3 a pill pharmacy prices again. Get Viagra for less than $3 a pill. Call 1-800-516-7602 today and save up to $500 and get 40 pills for just $99. Healthy Man is fast, easy, and affordable. Operators are waiting at 1-800-516-7602 to take your call right now. Call 1-800-516-7602. That's 1-800-516-7602. Again, 1-800-516-7602.
Is debt beating you down? You need discipline. You need the Debt Ninja. If you've been caught in a financial trap and need to be set free, then you need the Debt Ninja. Want to stop those harassing collection calls? Start saving thousands in interest and fees and get out of debt fast? Then you need to call the Debt Ninja. The Debt Ninja will find the best companies across the country that will help you consolidate all your bills into one easy payment, reduce your payments by 30 to 50%, and get you out of debt fast. If you have unsecured debt of $10,000 or more, such as credit cards, loans, or medical bills, call the Debt Ninja for a free 15-minute consultation.
Call 800-826-1246. 800-826-1246. That's 800-826-1246. Call today.
The Debt Ninja.
It's time to hear the truth about America's biggest challenges. You're listening to America Off the Rails with your host, Rick Robinson.
Listen, folks, I'm here to tell you our political system is broken. The two-party system is dead. They have become one and the same.
Keep on doing what you do, Rick. You're my favorite host. Favorite host.
This is always the killer, the one that just destroys that never Trump argument. Hillary Clinton will fill the Supreme Court with liberals. She'll also appoint federal judges with a liberal bent to them.
I don't feel no ways tired. I come too far from where I started from. Don't let anybody tell you that it's corporations and businesses that create jobs.
Arrogant, sanctimonious, self-righteous, sabotaging Trump.
Everybody's got to be covered. This is an un-Republican thing for me to say, because a lot of times they say, no, the lower 25%, they can't afford. I am going to take care of everybody. I don't care if it costs me votes or not. Everybody's going to be taken care of much better than they're taken care of now. The government's going to pay for it, but we're going to save so much money on the other side.
ISIS is honoring President Obama. He is the founder of ISIS. He's the founder of ISIS.
Written by a nice reporter. Now the poor guy, you got to see this guy. Oh, I don't know what I said. I don't remember. He's going like, I don't remember. Maybe that's what I said.
What realized is that the Bill Kristols of the world, the Never Trump people, they were just never serious. They never had any kind of ground game. They never had an actual candidate they could pick.
And in a surprising and disturbing move today, the Libertarian vice presidential candidate just agreed that rifles are weapons of mass destruction, and people on the terror watch list should not be allowed to purchase guns. So in other words, the party of freedom is liberty for me, but not for thee. Go figure.
Compromise where you can. Where you can't, don't. Even if everyone is telling you that something wrong is something right. Even if the whole world is telling you to move, it is your duty to plant yourself like a tree.
All right, folks. Well, good evening. This is America Off the Rails. Stupid host monkey got in the way again. So we are officially live now. We tried it a second ago, managed to kill things right in the middle of trying to get it started. So now we're trying to get the server back online. But again, this is America Off the Rails show. On the last evening live broadcast, we're actually going to be moving the show to a daytime time slot starting Monday. And then, of course, tomorrow night in this time slot, we have Robinson and Wright. The new show here on KLNRN Radio, where I have a co-host and we talk about all kinds of interesting things. If you've been paying attention over the last couple of weeks, we've actually been doing that under this banner and decided to make it a show of its own since this show is moving to a new time slot. Okay, so Okay, so now the server's caught up. So to get everybody back up to speed, I have a guest with me right now. You may recognize her if you've been listening to me for a while. She's been on with me before. You may recognize her as Bella Blue. She actually did a few episodes of Finding Common Ground with me a long, long time ago, back when all this was just really starting to get underway. But we have reconnected, and she actually decided she wanted to come on, and I figured it'd be interesting to have her back on since it's been a while since we've talked. So, Miss Bella, what have you been up to in the year since we have spoken?
Well, hello, and thank you again for the opportunity to come on the show, and it's great to work with you again. Want to say that, first of all. And so what's been going on, I've moved back to Oklahoma City from the Chicago area, and I am now pursuing a paralegal degree, and I'm working for an attorney, so I'm staying really busy. And I was actually listening to our shows today, and I just kept thinking, wow, that was awesome, but there's so much, I can do so much better. So I think this has been a year of growth for me, personally and professionally, and I'm really in a great place, and I just am really happy to have the opportunity to go to my other passion and love besides politics, of course, and law, and that's radio, and incorporating those two things as I've done in the past. So it's been a great year. How about you?
Lots of changes. When you and I were doing the couple of guest co-host spots that you did with me a while back, of course, that was under the K98Talk.com banner. Of course, that station still exists, but I'm no longer affiliated with it. We're now over here on KLNRradio.com. Since that time, I've been on terrestrial. I've been off terrestrial. I've got one of my shows syndicated at about 6 different places on iHeartRadio, Stitcher, FM Player, pretty much any kind of podcast thing you can imagine is pretty much there. Gotten to the point where I've interviewed pretty prominent authors. I've had the head of the Libertarian Party on. I've interviewed
nice.
I've interviewed actually Bush 41's chief of staff, who for some reason all of a sudden, John Sununu. Yeah, we actually did an interview with him about a year and a half ago.
Sununu, how interesting.
Yeah, it was fun. He actually got mad at me because there was one point where he was trying to make a point and he misunderstood what I was saying back, so he thought I was attacking Bush 41, and I'm like, no, that's not what I meant. So yeah,
actually, that is so funny. That's actually, wow, your little brush with fame, and how nice. That's awesome.
Yeah,
I would love to hear that show sometime.
All of a sudden, little old me has like press credentials and it's all official and stuff.
Yes.
And it's just kind of funny thinking about it when it all started, because we had no idea where any of this was going, and I had this crazy pipe dream, and everybody that knew me was like, "You are insane. You're never going to be able to do this. Why would you even start doing this? It's going to be nothing but hard work. It's never going to lead to anything." And look, I don't know if I'm ever going to turn the corner where I'm making more money to be able to do this full time and quit the day job, etc. None of that really honestly matters to me. To me, the journey has been the fun part. Getting to meet people like you, some of the other hosts that I've worked with, some of which have actually gone on and stepped down from doing internet-based radio, and they now write for a living and they do appearances on other radio shows, etc. So, I mean, this can be a springboard, and I don't know where I'm going to wind up. I may eventually wind up doing something else altogether different. But one thing that I will never do is give up with making the station that I affiliate with, first K98 Talk and now KLNRradio.com, the best that it can be. Because, I mean, to me, there's nothing better than this, to be honest. If I could find a way to do this full-time and not have to do 40 hours a week and commute back and forth for an hour and a half a day, I would completely love it, because this is always what I've wanted to do. I used to play radio station from like age 5 up until as early as I can remember, was probably like age 5. Now, of course, back then the cool thing was to be like the radio DJ, so it was like, you're listening to blah, blah, blah. And I'm like trying to pretend that I've got some DJ voice or something. And I mean, we literally did. We spent like one summer, almost every time I was at my cousin's house, we would get like the old boom boxes out and do the mixtapes. But we would have one playing music and the other one we'd be recording when the music was playing, and we'd be recording what we were saying and pretending we were DJs. And I mean, so this is something that I've always wanted to do. The technology coming around has made it possible to do it. And so, I mean, I'm just going to keep swinging for the fences and see where I get. And wherever I land, at least, if nothing else, like I said, I've met really good people. I've gotten some really good connections along the way. I'm now contributing for a 1 million reader plus blog. I have a chance to go to work for one of 2 publications that will actually pay me for my writing. And it all started because I took that first step. And that's one of the things that in this country, when I hear people talk about how bad it is or how terrible it is, the first thing I think of is nowhere else in the world could I have come up with an idea, started it as a Facebook page, and gotten it to the point where pretty soon I could be making a decent living, all from my computer working at home. That can't really happen anywhere else. So people that badmouth the country or all these football players that are all of a sudden taking a knee at the national anthem, look, they have the right to do that. I'm not telling them they can't do that. But don't disparage the country that gave you the freedom to chase your dream and get paid for it. That's not what that flag represents. All of the things that you say you're fighting against when you disparage it by taking a knee. If anything, you should be standing taller and straighter than anyone else out there, because that anthem and that flag acknowledges the fact that this country is not perfect. So quit disparaging it and remind people why it's good to be an American instead of why it's bad to be an American. And do something with the millions of dollars that you have in your bank if you're really that worried about the things that matter to you.
Sounds like relationships and marriage, and it's really crazy. You know, the key thing that you talked about, and first and foremost, congratulations, and what a wonderful attitude you've got, and I'm honored to have met you on this journey of mine as well. But you mentioned that a lot of people said to you, oh, it's going to be a lot of hard work. Well, I've known you and your opinions for a while now, and I agree that hard work is absolutely, that's exactly what it is. It's hard work. Yes, it's going to be hard work, but the fact that you didn't give up, the fact that you've stuck in there and hung in there, and now you're at a great place with all of it, and then you want to take it even farther, and you're just not giving up. And I agree, that's the same spirit that this country needs to have, and that hard work that people complain about, or anything else, mind you, that they want to complain about, is very petty. And, I mean, my thing is, I've actually done some research on some missionaries in other countries over this last year, and I've kind of gotten involved with human trafficking. That's kind of became my, I'm not sure what the word is, it escapes me right now, but it's my passion, I guess. It's something that I want to really help with. I had gotten quite a bit of exposure when I was in Chicago area, and I was talking to some people that were going and heading up these large organizations against human trafficking. And, I mean, the thing is it's this generation does not know what they have. They don't really know what they possess. I completely agree with you on that. So this football player, he's just another example of what the status quo is now, which in our day was not at all what the status quo was. And so it's a big shock to me, too. But what I'm finding out is that people in third world countries, they don't have running water all the time. Those are their concerns. Our concern is going to be whether or not we're going to sing the anthem or go along with the anthem or be patriotic to our country. And that's what really disturbs me, because all of the things that are going on in this world, I mean, I don't look at things in a local capacity. I'm global in my thinking. And so when I see how hard people are struggling just for the things that we take for granted every single day, that definitely frustrates me that somebody is acting like this guy. Same thing with the Olympic athlete, correct? I mean, these are just spoiled brats. Can I say it any better than that?
Well, that's the way that we can keep it FCC related, just in case this does go over to terrestrial. So yes,
that's right. I forgot we're regulated now.
That is a really nice way to put it. Yes,
right.
It's not necessarily the word that I would use if we weren't live on the air. But again,
right. Oh, me too. Yeah, I'm so glad that I caught myself.
But so here's the thing with that, and again, I have a lot of the same thoughts that you do at this point, because we need to start focusing on the things that are actual problems. But the difference with me is I'm more focused on trying to fix the problems here first so that we don't fall apart, so that we can help everybody else. And that doesn't mean that I'm being a nationalist, which is one of the things that I really, really don't like about a lot of Trump supporters. But I think there are things that we need to focus on here. We need to find ways to fix the immigration issues here so that we, without building a wall, by the way. The wall's a fallacy. It's never going to happen. He's walked back on it 14 different times. He's changed it 14 different times. First, Mexico was going to pay for it. Then they weren't going to pay for it. Now they're back to paying for it again because he got mad. It's just, he doesn't have a stance on anything. He's a used car salesman going from room to room to room telling people what they need to hear. And I'm not any happier with the other side of it anymore either. And what really ticks me off is I got so disenfranchised with everybody at the main two parties that I started really taking a nice, hard, long look at the Libertarian Party. And they had Austin Peterson trying to run, and he probably could have brought a lot of disenfranchised conservatives over to the Libertarian Party. But the Libertarian Party hierarchy decided they didn't really necessarily want a lot of disenfranchised conservatives because they didn't want to become the next conservative party. So they went with Johnson. Johnson, who basically his big part of his campaign platform is he wants to be able to eat a California or a Colorado brownie once in a while and not get in trouble for it. You can. Just go do it in Colorado. Leave me alone.
Well, and it's interesting that you brought that up, and I'm going to tell you why. Because in one of my law classes the other night, actually, there was a really brave young lady in class that decided to ask the professor about that because he had taught at Tulsa University or University of Tulsa Law School. And so basically how he explained it is, look, the federal government is still the big head honchos. With Obama in office, yes, we technically have backed off these people. For one thing, they don't use a bank. It's all cash transactions. So that takes a lot of federal regulation out of it because people are curious. Well, so if this is really the way it is and states are having to answer to the federal government, how is it that Colorado and states like that are getting away with it? And how they're getting away with it is, I guess, evidently, Obama put in an executive order to not go in and just start busting them down, because that is really what could happen, and it's not to say it won't happen. He said we all have to make sure and remember that with a new president will come a new way of handling things. If it's not... I think if Trump had his way, absolutely, he would probably send in the troops to go bust everything down in Colorado. And federally, they can do that. They can still do that. But Obama has been very integral in keeping things the way they are on that. And I just thought I'd bring that up because that was actually something very interesting that I did not know until the other night and never really thought about. And I don't know that everybody else has really thought about it. The fact that Colorado is in the black and doing very well, and the cynical part of me that thinks the federal government is getting something out of this deal. Let's just be real, and I think that's very possible. So something to think about there. Being a nationalist is a great thing. As a liberal Democrat, I'm constantly told that I'm too concerned about the backyard, and I'm too concerned about right here in our own home territory, which is why I'm always saying, let's get out of some of these countries. But I just think I think what I was trying to really get across from that was that we do need to take care of our backyard, and we do need to take care of our people. But we need to be appreciative of our resources and what we have. We are very, very capable of taking care of things here. This is the same thing that Hillary said at the Democratic National Convention. It was pretty much the core theme, I felt, of her speech, and that was, hey, Trump and all his doom and gloom, it doesn't need to be that way. We can still be the greatest country. I think everything she said was really spot on. And I think, I totally agree with you. Absolutely take care of problems here. Because now things are so crazy and we're back in a civil war. I feel we're really back into the very beginnings of another civil war, a modern day civil war, which can be very detrimental to everybody. So with us being so disenchanted with our candidates, I think it's pushing us to all come together and come up with better solutions in the future. And everybody needs to get out and vote, and everybody needs to participate, and that's the best way that we can get everybody together. There has to be unity. I know I'm sounding like Hands Across America here, and let's all sing Kumbaya. And that's actually
I was going to say, do we need to go
my
hug a
boyfriend
tree
said
now?
he felt like that's what the DNC was all about. Oh, come on. And he is a yellow dog Democrat himself. However, he was like, really? You know, some of the speeches, he's like, okay, let's all join hands. But, I mean, honestly, that's what we need to do. And I think, honestly, you're very correct in talking about the Libertarian Party. That party may come up in the future in the rankings, and it may not just be bipartisan anymore. Maybe we are pushing into a political age of changing the bipartisan system. What do you think?
Well, that's actually what I'm working towards. I'm actually involved in a group called Rescue America that's actually working on founding another party. What we're trying to do is get to the point where we have as many party choices as possible on the ballot so we can break the two-party stranglehold. Because the one thing this election cycle is verified for me, because I've always thought for a very long time that both parties kind of have the same agenda. They're just trying to get everybody to the same place in different ways. They're not even really trying to hide it very much anymore, because it was kind of blatant to me, because we saw DNC talking points at the RNC, and then we saw the DNC adopt a lot of the pro-America, pro-platform, pro-freedom stances that the RNC used to be known for. So you literally almost saw the party flip that everybody always talked about that supposedly happened back in the 60s. I think we're about to see it again if we're not careful, because but this time there's not really anything to it other than they see what's working, and they're both trying to work towards stealing each other's votes. I mean, at this point, like I told you off air today, I am no longer partisan. When you and I met, I was a dyed-in-the-mold, red-blooded, Republican's best way to go kind of guy. That's who I was. That's because that's what I believed. But as I've gotten more connected with this stuff, and I've seen a lot of the stuff that's been going on behind the scenes, I am thoroughly, to this point, of the mindset that the government is no longer of the people, by the people, for the people. It's a group of rich people trying to make sure that they hang on to their power, and they're willing to do it by any means necessary. And a lot of the ways they do it is by keeping us distracted and angry. They do that through the media, and they do it through the election cycles, and this one's no different. But believe it or not, we're already at the bottom of the hour.
I can believe it. Go Ron Paul. I mean, maybe that's the solution. I don't know. I think it's great, though, that we've had a chance to visit, and we'll definitely touch on some more things the next time. Absolutely.
Well, it's been awesome having you back on. All right, folks, we're going to take a really quick break, pay some bills. When we come back, we have Jess from Jess's POV with some breaking news about Hillary's emails. Don't go away. This is the last late-night broadcast for America Off the Rails, moving to a primetime time slot near you first thing Monday morning. Don't go away.
Stay tuned. Things are going to get real interesting. You're listening to the Spark Radio Network.
You are listening to KLRN Radio, where liberty and reason still reign.
All writers are prone to becoming so attached to our characters and stories that we struggle to see why a passage may not be working. It takes another set of eyes to help us nurture our writing to full maturity. At Black Wolf Editorial Services, we strive to enable writers to develop and grow, shaping stories into masterpieces that can stand the test of time. Editing services are provided for all genres and all age categories. Services range from critiques of the short story through to the line edits of the full-length novel and copy editing for those preparing for publication. We also offer assistance on generating a writer's bio for your website, as well as help with those book blurbs and promotional material. We won't abandon you to the masses. We want to celebrate with you in your successes. Black Wolf Editorial Services, nurturing your writing into maturity. For a full list of services and prices, visit us at blackwolfeditorial.com.
Individuals and businesses with tax problems, listen carefully. Do you feel like you're losing control over your finances? If you owe over $10,000 in back taxes or have unfiled tax returns, we can help you take back control. The IRS is the largest and most aggressive collection agency in the world, and they can seize your bank account, garnish your paycheck, close your business, and file criminal charges. Take control of your tax problems now by calling the experts at Tax Mediation Services and take advantage of the Fresh Start program and new laws that may allow us to negotiate a settlement for the lowest amount possible. Our team of tax attorneys and enrolled agents can stop collections and get you protected so you can take control of your financial future. Tax Mediation Services is accredited by the Better Business Bureau. Call now for a free case review and a price protection guaranteed quote.
Call Tax Mediation Services now at 800-610-9050. That's 800-610-9050. 800-610-9050.
KLRN Radio has advertising rates available. We have rates to fit almost any budget. Contact us at advertising@klrnradio.com.
This is Slickery Trigger for Rebel Road Tactical. With proper care and feeding, your pistol will be ready when you need it. There to save your life. Shouldn't your gear be that good? Whether you need a holster for comfortable everyday carry or a tough-as-nails holster for your next training course, Rebel Road Tactical has what you need. Check us out on the web at rebelroadtactical.com.
Tired of paying outrageous prices for Viagra? Well, we have great news for you. Now you can finally get Viagra at huge discounts. Healthy Man allows you to save up to $500 on Viagra. Why pay U.S. pharmacy prices of $15 per pill or more when you can get Viagra for less than $3 a pill? Call today and get 40 Viagra pills for only $99. This can cost as much as $600 at your local pharmacy. You can't afford not to call us. If you want Viagra at the lowest prices, never pay $15 a pill pharmacy prices again. Get Viagra for less than $3 a pill. Call 1-800-516-7602 today and save up to $500 and get 40 pills for just $99. Healthy Man is fast, easy, and affordable. Operators are waiting at 1-800-516-7602 to take your call right now. Call 1-800-516-7602. That's 1-800-516-7602. Again, 1-800-516-7602.
All right, folks, welcome back. We are live. This is America Off the Rails. I'm your host, Rick Robinson. We were just spending the first half of the show with a flashback from the past. Miss Bella Blue, who did a couple of guest hosts with us on Finding Common Ground right about the time that K98 Talk, the station I used to work for, was just founded. She actually came on and talked with us for a little bit. Now we're going to change gears a little bit. We have our very own Jessica Sanders, host of Jesse's POV, with us. She has some breaking information that she wanted to make sure that she got out live on the air, so I'm going to turn the mic over to her and let her have some fun.
All right. First of all, for all you listeners, if you listen to my show, I try and keep the politics off of it. I've thought of this as a crossover story, but I decided against doing it unless I did it as a slowdown, and I still try and keep the politics off my show. But for those of you who don't recall or don't know my background or haven't listened to my show, I am a Special Forces widow. My Special Forces husband was my first husband. So anyway, I grabbed, when Hillary's emails went up on Wikipedia, I, of course, with half the country, ran over and started searching through. Now, I didn't just search the obvious terms. I had a hint of how to look for things. When you're around these people, you kind of pick stuff up, right, Rick?
Oh, yeah.
All right, so I have 3 or 4 emails printed out in front of me, and after reading them, I grabbed the emails and pulled one of my spec op buddies aside and said, with the information contained in this, how hard would it be to figure out Chris Stevens' location. And the spec up guy looked through, and he's like, "Can you find Walmart in a strange town?" And I went, "You're kidding me." He's like, "No. American footprints are very distinctive. They're very obvious. And if you know what to look for, especially if you're a foreign national and you can recognize outsiders, it'd be about that hard." So, given that information, I dug and dug. And I wanted to read bits and pieces of some of these to you, Rick. I'm just trying to go with the oldest one first, and I've got them probably in the wrong order. But we're going to take a hint here, and I'm going to skip through some of it because I don't feel the need. Let's see, April 21st, April 25th, August. All right, so we're going to start with the April 21st of 2011. And the subject of the email is Benghazi staffing. And no, this is not one of Rick's parody server things, I promise. From Huma Abedin. And
no wonder you said that.
And it's Huma Abedin at her state gov emails. So I'm not going to read out the full email address. It probably doesn't exist anymore. But it was originally it was a forward from Jeffrey Feltman, and the subject was Benghazi staffing. So, Madam Secretary, I wanted to let you know about a temporary rotation in Benghazi. TNC envoy Chris Stevens has been on the road since March 13th when he began his outreach mission, and has been in Benghazi since April 5th. This was put on Clinton's private email server. And Jeffrey Feltman, according to the subject, the title under his email address, is the Assistant Secretary, Bureau of Near Eastern Affairs. Now, he didn't originally send it to Clinton. He sent it to Huma Abedin, who's the one that forwarded it to the Clinton private email server. And there's a whole bunch of other things about who was acting as envoy during Chris's absence. TNC is one of the groups in Benghazi. So, like I said, it's one of those things. And it also says is one of the other sentences I found interesting in here is, "I know how important it is to have continual coverage in Benghazi." So they were definitely wanting a presence in Benghazi for whatever reason, which I'm not going to get into why. Not this time. This one's a little bit older. I actually got them a little out of order. But this was from March 27th of 2011. And the subject was Chris Stevens' mission. And again, parts of this are redacted. It was forwarded from Huma Abedin to the Clinton server. Jake and Huma, please find a status report on Chris Stevens' mission to Benghazi. Thanks, Tim. All right, and it goes on to say, the current game plan is for Mr. Stevens to move no later than Wednesday from Malta to Benghazi, who will stage offshore initially for a one-day visit, during which he will have meetings with TNC locutors and get a sense of the situation on the ground. The goal of this one-day trip is for him to lay the groundwork for stays of up to 30 days. He will accompanied by a DS team. DS does stand for Diplomatic Security. A staff member from Embassy Tripoli and the leader of USAID's DART team. With the support of Ambassador Kretz and the Embassy Tripoli, Mr. Stevens in contact with INC members on the ground in Benghazi. Elsewhere, the team is also in contact with other diplomatic missions and NGOs in Benghazi. All right. This was the one my spec app guy went, That was on a private server. I mean, his eyes bugged out. He wanted to burn the thing, rip it out of my hands, and take a lighter to it. I'm like, sorry, sweetie, I got it off WikiLeaks. It wouldn't help anything. And he was absolutely appalled that this much information had been put out on an unsecured channel. He was livid. Now, for those of you, considering these guys deal in classified information all of the time. If you think about special forces, how much, classified information do they deal with? 90% of it, of what they do is classified. And he's like, this tells you approximately what day he's going to be there, how he's coming in offshore. So he's probably coming in on a boat. How hard is it to stake out the Benghazi docks? Okay. Well, what about just keeping an eye on Ambassador Kretz? He's like, there's so many loopholes in this, and so many ways his location could have been garnered from this information. And I'm not going to point them all out because I don't want to give away any tactics. But what about the leader of USAID's DART team? Well, hello. That's somebody the locals are going to know, because guess what? They're the ones handing out the food and the goodies, Rick. How far do you think the locals let him out of their sight?
Probably not very far, because like you said, he's the one handing out all the goodies.
I mean, if he's the one that hands you your daily rice and meat, you're going to know, or at least you know that it's coming through him somehow. You're going to make friends with him and keep an eye on him. So this was just really, I mean, the guy was absolutely incensed. Absolutely incensed that this came out. This much information came out. And I asked about the, it wasn't really a consulate in Benghazi, but the State Department location in Benghazi, since I'm sure there's an official term for it. And I was like, how easy would it have been to pick out? And he went, if somebody repaints a house down the street, do you notice it if you drive down that road every couple of days? If somebody suddenly paints a house purple, and it was white a week ago, you'll probably notice. Just like if big black Suburbans, U.S. Hallmark, by the way, start parking in front of a house, which the U.S. State Department facility in Benghazi was little more than an overgrown estate. But if you suddenly see big black Suburbans, some of them up armored, some of them not, going in and out of the same house all the time, guess what?
What?
You found the U.S. They always traveled in these lovely big black Suburbans. They are known for it. So this other email I was reading through. Hi, from Crete. I called Abu el-Khatib to compare notes on Libya in advance of our arrival, where Chris Stevens is. Much of what Kadlib has already been reported from his talks, blah, blah, blah. But yeah, I mean, come on. Where Chris is, and then part of it's redacted. And then it goes on to mention the word Benghazi after the redacted section.
Kind of makes you wonder what's in that redacted section.
I could probably take a couple guesses, but I'm not going to because it is redacted. And sorry, Charlie, you have to figure it out on your own.
Oh no, I mean I'm just saying I'm saying it's pretty simple at this point to figure out that there was probably a specific location listed in the redacted section. So I'm saying even in the if they're looking at the unredacted portions and going, hey, yeah, we could probably find them in about 10 minutes because they have pretty specific habits and certain types of footprints when they leave messages and do convoys, etc. So imagine what you could do with the unredacted version of that same email. That was kind of the point I was trying to make.
Yeah, I mean, if this server was hacked even once, Rick, is it any wonder that the United States State Department's location in Benghazi was attacked?
Let me put my tinfoil hat on for a second, because you said if it was hacked once. I submit to you that it was hacked. I submit to you that they know it was hacked, and that's why they started off by trying to blame it on a YouTube video that Hillary even swore in front of the parents of the dead victims that they were going to get the guy that made the video. They knew they were hacked. As soon as that attack happened, they knew they were they knew. That's why everybody went into lockdown mode and nothing happened. And that's one of the things that has me the most angry about all of this, because we've even had Republicans that were pretending to go after things. If it was this easy for you to find it, how the hell did they miss it? The point is they didn't.
Rick, let me look at the markings on some of the emails I've already gone over. It notes whether they were turned over. Hang on. To the commission, or whether these were ones that WikiLeaks got that the commission may not have gotten. This one doesn't say. I'd have to go back to the original website. That's where the markings are, unfortunately, and I didn't make notes on them. But I'm going to assume that the Benghazi Commission had most of these. Then there's this one. The subject isn't outwardly Chris Stevens, but you know me, I'm an avid reader, and digging through these was no exception. So it says it's getting interesting. UAE FM, which stands for United Arab Emirates Foreign Minister Abdullah bin Zayed, and they abbreviate him most of the time, ABZ, just called. ABZ asked my views. I didn't see why INC would accept SAIF as a heading transitional authority. Translation, they were trying to work on, at least outwardly, rebuilding the government in Libya. TNC thinks time is on its side, plus SAIF is indicted by the ICC, International Criminal Court, and has said and reportedly done awful things. Don't forget to check with Chris Stevens, and there's a few more things that are in here that are irrelevant, but then it mentions again, a couple sentences later, Chris Stevens' location. Doesn't give the exact location, but it says Benghazi. I called Abdul El Khatib to compare notes on Libya in advance of our arrival to meet Chris Stevens in Benghazi. Okay. How many times do we have to put Chris Stevens in Benghazi before someone figures out the man is in Benghazi?
Apparently not that many, because that's exactly what they figured out.
Then, the last one. And this one was forwarded by Cheryl Mills to the Clinton homebrew server. Dear colleagues, Special Envoy Chris Stevens provided the following update from Benghazi at 1200 EDT to Embassy Tripoli DCM, Deputy Chief of Mission. Good thing I speak TLA, huh, Rick?
Yeah, because I wouldn't have a clue. I'm just going to be honest.
Most people don't. That's why I think a lot of this has gone over their heads, Rick. And this one isn't necessarily about Chris Stevens. Evidently, a U.S. vehicle traveling back from the Benghazi airport was struck by a Libyan vehicle going high speed, and the U.S. vehicle was going moderate speed, was struck by a Libyan vehicle going high speed at an intersection. And 4 people were killed and 2 were injured. And they were discussing paying off the locals to cover the funeral costs and keep it quiet. And okay, you want to bet, and I'm willing to bet, that they knew where that American vehicle was coming from and headed to. So, I mean, and they discuss Benghazi, another one, they name it 4 times in the thing in the email because they mentioned they referenced the local police department, which of course I'm sure the local police department is on the up and up.
Is that sarcasm I denote in your voice, ma'am?
How many buckets load would you like?
Hey, I'll settle for the one. I'm gonna let you keep some of it, but I'm sure there's more than one.
Oh yeah. Then they go on to discuss other countries' comings and goings in this email, and when their ambassadors were leaving the country, and who was going to replace them, and when. So this is just, I mean, how many times do you have to put a man in a location that is not Tripoli, Libya, for the natives to go, that's where he is, let's go get him. And then, while I didn't find this in an email, I did find reports, and I was going through CIA declassified documents, State Department declassified documents, and FBI declassified documents. And the security team that had been covering the Benghazi outpost, for lack of a term here, was pulled in August. Her last day was the end of August.
So her last day was what, the last day of August?
The last day for the security detail in Benghazi, for the U.S. security detail in Benghazi, was the last day in August. And then the security got turned over to a local militia group.
Yeah, I'm sure that went well.
Well, we saw what happened. They up and walked away before the attack.
Well, it's probably, I mean, with as crooked as that whole area was in the first place, I wouldn't be surprised if there were several people involved in that local militia that knew the attack was going to happen. And that's one of the reasons why they just decided they were done.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, thanks to this crazy election cycle, we now can either put the lady who's basically one of the tangible folks that's responsible for this whole mess, or a guy that's completely nuts in the White House, and one of those two is supposed to make things better. I don't see anybody's logic in this anymore. But it astounds me that, like I said, and, you know, look, here's the thing. Maybe the Benghazi Commission didn't get these things, but I have a question about that, because if it was that easy, even if they didn't, if it was that easy for WikiLeaks to get them and put them out everywhere, how is it that these very key important emails that actually show everything that she says she didn't do in plain view, that she did just that? She talked about the location of an American asset in an unclassified email on repeated occasions. And you know as well as I do, with the patterns of U.S. troop movements and U.S. ambassadorial group movements and the whole government sector movements, like you said, they travel in very distinct vehicles. Everybody knows what they look like. Everybody knows what they drive in. So all you got to do is find one of them, figure out where it's going, and guess what you found? The place you were looking for, because you already knew the general idea of where he was. You knew he likely came in, most likely in a boat. All you had to do was stake out the docks, wait for the black sedan with the government place to pull up, follow it back to wherever it goes, and say, hey, we found him, let's get ready to do this thing. And they literally made it that simple. But now she's a stone's throw away from being in the White House. That's what annoys me. That's what has me angry, because this was the election cycle where we could have stopped this, but instead, my side decided to put up her stooge, who has done nothing but block for her this entire time. This has done nothing but prove everything that I've been afraid of this entire time. They knew about this all along, and they didn't do anything. Because look, maybe it wasn't in the stack, but how hard would it have been for them to find it if they really wanted to look for it? Let's be real. Let's not even talk about the fact that Trey Gowdy openly lied to the American public, because you know as well as I do there were assets in, near, and around Benghazi at the time of the attack. He blatantly said there weren't. I don't trust either side of the aisle anymore because they're doing nothing but trying to find ways to hang on to their own power, and they have the same agendas, and all they're doing is making us so angry that a lot of us can't see it.
I got something for you about Trey Gowdy.
Did you get any of that?
I hear him talking, but he don't come in.
That's about how I feel about pretty much all of them anymore.
I know. I don't have sidestep queued up where I'd grab that one.
Oh, I don't know. I mean, this whole thing just amazes me. I mean, like you said, you didn't make the notes on there, and that's not that big a deal because I wouldn't have thought about doing it either. But the simple fact of the matter is, at least most of what you have in your hand right now, they probably got, and they didn't do anything with it. I mean, even the FBI, the director of the FBI.
If you look at the FBI notes, Hillary Clinton could not remember when or if she got classified information training. I'm sorry. First of all, she used a personally acquired BlackBerry device. Service
she used 13 of them,
and later AT&T Wireless to access her email accounts. So she had to change services. And most of us know you usually have to change devices. And Singular and AT&T though not. She wouldn't have had to change devices, but she probably would have upgraded because I'm sure, just like the rest of us, she likes the latest and greatest.
Not according to Uma, because, this big story broke about the 13 lost BlackBerries. Some destroyed, others lost. And Uma's response to that was, well, she would regularly get an upgrade and decide she liked the old phone better, so go back to it. But at that point, she'd managed to lose the newer phone. Look, I mean, that's absurd. That is patently absurd. I don't know anyone in my life that has ever lost or destroyed 13 cell phones. I mean, it literally sounds like some sort of B-movie it literally sounds like some spy movie drop where they just we're just gonna walk over here and drop this in this trash can right here, and you can just come pick it right up. The emails are all right there, and they're not even secured. I mean, look, that's how patently absurd this sounds, because she's just, I lost my phone. Okay, I think everybody in their life has probably lost at least one phone. I will readily admit that there are times when I cannot find my phone. But I destroy my house, or the last place that I knew it was, until I find it. I have literally, since cell phones were invented, maybe lost one phone in my life to the point where I had absolutely no idea where it was. One, not 13, and I'm not a politician. And the thing that annoys me is, she wants us to believe that she is the most capable person as commander-in-chief, but she can't even keep up with her damn cell phone.
Okay, first of all, I do not have anywhere near as important a job as Secretary of State. My cell phone is literally usually on the charger next to me, in a holster on my hip, or in a bag that's with me all the time. And I have a work phone as well, which, guess what? Even though the number is forwarded to my personal cell, just so I don't have to carry more than one device, because it's just a regular phone number where if I gave it to you, you could pick up a phone and call me. I still carry the actual device with me, because what if I crack the screen or break my personal cell and I need to use a phone? I still keep it charged and still keep it with me. And Rick, for the record, I've never lost a single cell phone.
Hey. Technically, I've never really lost it for other than an extended period. The one I was referring to was one of the most recent phones that I had that I literally thought had been stolen off my desk at work, because I had set it down somewhere and not realized that I had done it, and not realized I didn't have it until I was already on the way home, and by then they'd already locked the doors. So I expected to come back in the next day and see it sitting on my desk, and it wasn't there. So I started tearing apart the office. I came home, I tore apart my living room, because I was like, well, maybe I had it after all, and it just fell out of my pocket, and I didn't notice. I didn't find it until like a month later when I was cleaning out the truck after I'd already replaced it, because it had actually fallen out of my pocket into the seat and gone underneath the floorboard under the seat. So, yeah.
Oh, and the other thing when I was reading the FBI notes that they released this past week, Aberdeen had an email on Clinton1email.com. So if she says she wasn't aware of the server, guess what? Aberdeen stated that the Clinton 1 email system was going away, and following the initiation of the new domain, Aberdeen did not have access to her Clinton1email.com account. Not aware of the server?
Gee, so they lied. I'm not really surprised. All right, well, believe it or not, we are officially out of time. We've actually gone a little bit over because we got a bit of a late start, but we are down to about 60 seconds at this point. Why don't you remind folks where they can hang out with you should they choose to do so?
All right. I am on Twitter at Jesse's POV. You can catch up with me on jessespov.com. Plus, I do have another show, Jesse's Coffee Shop. And I've got jessescoffeeshop.com too. Now, Jesse's Coffee Shop is about authors writing in books. So it's a total break from all the politics, all the news, and everything else.
In other words, it's her sanity moment.
Hey, can I give a plug for the new science show?
Sure.
New show. It's going to be once a month. The first official episode is up, as well as an unofficial episode that was done on my show, as originally as part of my show. It has been uploaded. It's called Conversations in Science with Dr. Judy L. Moore. So she's going to be putting together an episode about once a month. Now, I'm going to let a little cat out of the bag. In December, we are going to be recording a very special episode of Conversations in Science, Rick. It's going to be Star Trek and Star Wars and all those fun things. And we may even do call-ins.
All I have to say about Star Trek, right here.
Okay, Rick.
Hey, don't blame me. It's the 50th anniversary and you said Star Trek. It's my trigger. All right, folks. Well, on that note, we have got to make our way for the Rhino Report here coming up next. As always, if you want to hang out with me, you are more than welcome to do so on Twitter. You can also hang out with me on the Facebooks, or you can shoot me an email. Twitter handle, AOTR_host. You can also find me on email at ricky@thesparkradionetwork.com or rick@klnrradio.com. Or you can shoot both the Facebook page, America is Coming Off the Rails, or my professional Facebook page, a friend request. We'll talk, we'll chat, we'll hang out. It'll be fun. But on that note, we have got to get out of here. I hope you guys enjoy the rest of your week. We're almost to the end. Tomorrow's Friday. And don't forget, we have a kind of a sneak-ish preview of the Robinson and Wright show tomorrow night, and then America Off the Rails moves to its new time slot on Monday. So I hope everybody has a great rest of your week. I will talk to you live tomorrow night on the Robinson and Wright show. I'll be back with you first thing Monday morning as well. America Off the Rails will probably, or not America Off the Rails, but Finding Common Ground will probably take a break this weekend. The college boy has family coming in, and he hasn't really seen them much lately, so we're going to do a replay of his show. I will probably edit a couple things together and put something together for FCG for Saturday morning too, but it won't necessarily be live. And on that note, folks, we are officially out.
Bella to stand in.
I tried, actually. That's why we decided to do the little 30-minute interview tonight, because I had tried to get her to do Saturday, but she has classes. So she is going to be standing by from now on to be able to fill in when she doesn't have Saturday classes, though, so that's cool. Because she is actually a Hillary supporter, even with all the craziness. But she's kind of like feeling like a lot of the Trump supporters that I know do, is like, I really am just kind of voting for this guy because I really don't think I have any other options, and I'm just like, yeah, whatever. But do what you got to do. And on that note, folks, we are officially out because we are long. We got to go. Have a good night. Take care.
Screw you guys. I'm going home. Later.
Game over, man. It's game over.